Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Women of Golf Show. I'm Ted Odorico, and right alongside, of course, each and every week is none other than Legends Tour player and LPGA professional Cindy Miller, and we are the hosts of the Women of Golf Show. Good morning, Cindy.
Good morning, Ted.
Welcome back. We had a little hiatus. Last week, and had some things going on both ends, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But let me just remind everybody, of course, we are live every Tuesday mornings here on the blogtalkradio.com network, and best way to find us is go to blogtalkradio.com, and up in the search key type Women of Golf, and you can catch us there live every Tuesday from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern in an Eastern time slot. And if you can't join us during that time, not to worry, just scroll down that page, and in the on-demand section, you will see all of the previously aired shows, including today's show in its entirety, so you can listen when it's convenient for you. But thank you for those of you joining us live this morning. You can also catch us on iTunes or Stitcher.com under the podcast section. Just go to either of those mediums and just, again, type in Women of Golf, and you'll find us on either of those networks as well. Always look forward to hearing from you. You're welcome to call in or speak with Cindy or I or any of the guests during the live broadcasts on Tuesday mornings. And to do so, you can call area code 347-945-5855. You can also email any questions or comments, or if you're somebody in the golf business, you don't necessarily have to be a teaching professional or coach. Maybe you're an entrepreneur or somebody that's written a great golf book or has an interesting product that you'd like to share or service. You can reach out to either Cindy or I. Cindy's email is cindy@cindymillergolf.com, and mine is ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. We want to welcome you back. We got a great show for you this morning. The first part, we're going to talk about part two in sort of a mini-series, or as we called it, Own Your Game Lite. It's part of Cindy Miller's much larger platform, and we sort of edited it down to some three key areas. We're going to talk about part two, and we'll give you a little refresher of part one last week, or the previous week, sorry. And then we're going to be joined by a very special guest, Thom Hord. He's the GM and Senior Operations Manager at Orange County National Golf Club in Orlando, Florida, and he'll be joining us on the second half of the show. Cindy, we took a little hiatus last week, and you've been a busy girl. You were down in Miami. Tell us what you were doing.
Well, I happened to play on the University of Miami women's golf team, and we won back-to-back national championships in 1977 and 1978, and they invited us back for homecoming to go down on the field and be honored for 40 years ago winning the national championships, which was really cool.
Oh, wow. Very cool. I know I saw, as I mentioned to you I mentioned just a second ago, I saw quite a few of your posts over the last few days through social media. So just tell us a little bit about what it meant to you, obviously, to be part of that team and obviously to see your fellow players all these years later.
Well, you know what's funny? I wasn't good enough to be on the golf team. And the dream was born when my mom and her friends took me to an LPGA Tour event in 1973, and I saw Laura Baugh hit a shot at the River Oaks event, the LPGA Tour event, the Mark Equity Classic, and I was absolutely awestruck with her smooth swing, how far the ball went, her fancy shoes, her big golf bag with her name on it. her great outfit, and I came home and I said, that's what I want to do when I grow up. And I was 17 years old, and I had about a 14 handicap, and I had graduated a year early from high school, and I was going to go to Fredonia State University, which is a state school right, 12 miles away. And I said, I don't want to do that. And my dad said, no, you're going to do that. You're going to go to school. You're not going to just sit here and do nothing. And so I wrote to the Ben Hogan Company, and I wrote to Golf Digest magazine, and I told them my dilemma, and I said, I really want to play on the LPGA Tour, and to be able to do that, I have to play in college, and I don't know if there's any colleges that offer women's golf scholarships. And they actually responded to the mail, to the letter, snail mail.
Wow.
And they wrote back, and they gave me a list of schools. And again, at the time, I had no idea that Title IX had just been passed. So it was 1973, and it was the same year that Title IX went through. And I remember two schools, Odessa Junior College in Texas and the University of Miami. Well, if you're from Buffalo, where do you want to go, right? So
right.
I wrote to the University of Miami, and I said, my name is Cindy Miller. I'm graduating from high school. I have a 14 handicap. I really want to play on your golf team. Can I come down? And they wrote back and said, well, you're really not good enough. If you apply to get in the school and you really want to come down and play, we'll let you try. And so that was during the 73 fall and 74 spring. And I applied for the school. I got in. The golf coach said he would let me try out for the team. I never visited the school. I had never even been there, and my parents didn't even take me. A family friend who was a pilot for Eastern Airlines lived in Coral Gables, Florida, and they had a summer home in Buffalo. So they were members at our club, and they said, oh, well, we'll take her down there and drop her off at her dorm. And so they did. And my dad said to me, if you don't get a scholarship after 1 year, you can't go back. And so I practiced my brains out, and I wasn't good enough, and Norm Parsons gave me the opportunity to play, and I graduated the number one player of the team. We won 2 NCAA championships, and I was an All-American my senior year.
Wow.
So this was really special, really, really special. And I don't think, you know me, that I'm just go. And this made me sit and reflect and say, you know what? I'm glad I did that. And I'm so grateful for Norm Parsons. And he was there with us. We had a great weekend. Rick Remmert was in charge of alumni stuff. And Rick was a friend of mine when I was down there. And our mutual really good buddy introduced Alan and I. So it was just, what a great weekend. I'm so happy and grateful for everything that I've gotten. So it was cool.
So Miami did you well, obviously. Cindy, that's what a fantastic story. And really that's really a story of inspiration for so many people out there. A lot of people have dreams and passions and whatever they may be, and a lot of times, fear creeps in and they're, I don't know, I'm not good enough, or even if somebody says to you, well, you're not really good enough, you didn't let that stop you. You actually rose to the challenge and ultimately came out on top and had not a successful career in college on the golf team, but you graduated as well. And here you are, 40-odd years later, going back and being celebrated for those accomplishments. But just think, Cindy, if you hadn't have risen to the challenge, how much different things might have been.
Well, and that's what I posted on Facebook and Instagram. I said, the fact that this man allowed me and gave me a chance to try to play changed the whole rest of my life. If he had said no, and when I was not good enough, and here's the funny part, they had a reunion 10 years ago for the 30 years, and most of the girls that were on the team that played in the top 5 did go back at that point. But I was at a Legends Tour event in Australia, and I really wanted to play in Australia, so I said, oh, please forgive me for not coming. But, again, it makes me reflect back upon, you know, I used to sit and watch everybody who was better than me and all the kids that were recruited, and I wasn't recruited. Nobody even wanted me. But I had a huge, big dream, and I was like, don't tell me what I can't do. Because I would compare myself, and I would say, okay, this one hits it better than me. This one putts better than me. What can I do about it? And again, when Dad said to me, if you don't get a scholarship, you can't go back, I was like, okay. And the funny thing is, here's another metaphor. Friday night, they had a parade for homecoming, and they had a boat burning ceremony. And all I thought about was, that's what I did. I burned the boat. There was no way back.
Yep.
And so
that just really speaks volumes. Think of how many people out there, as I said earlier, have had dreams or desires or wants, and, somebody chirping in their ear and saying, you can't do this, you can't do that, or, if you don't do that. And how many of those dreams and desires died right then and there. And, I can't emphasize enough, and this will actually lead us into our discussion this morning, is, here you are, you're sort of taking stock, you're looking back and reflecting on a career, certainly has its ups and downs, no ifs, ands, and buts, we all do, but you're looking at a career that might have looked a lot differently had you not found it within yourself to say, you know what, I'm going to, and this really epitomizes what you talk about, is owning your game, but you owned your life. You decided, this is Cindy Miller's life, and I'm going to do what it is that I want to do, that I'm passionate about. It doesn't matter what the naysayers might say out there, and that doesn't mean that they were all negative, but you know what I'm talking about, and you decided to own your game, and here you are, these many years later, pursuing really what it is that you wanted to do with your life and doing it very successfully.
Well, and that's funny because I did create the Pursue Your It Foundation, and it's all about, what's your personal potential passion and purpose in life. And I'm doing a program with the Buffalo Promise neighborhood right now with two of the worst zip codes in Buffalo with some 8th grade kids. And I don't know, I don't think I told you this. I was there last Monday, so I've really had a busy week. A great week, but I was there last Monday, and I hadn't met with them since last spring, and I said to them, okay, so what do you remember about your personality profile? Because I give them an assessment so that they know who they are, and I'm trying to inspire, encourage them to pursue their personal it. And so they remembered, and I said to Dennis, who's one of the kids that has some trouble, right? I said, Dennis, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he said, I want to be an NFL player. I said, oh, cool. I said, what position do you want to play? And he said, running back. And I said, do you know who C.J. Spiller is? He goes, yeah. I said, well, what position did he play when he was at the Bills? And he goes, running back. I said, you know what we should do? We should take a selfie and text it to C.J. Spiller. He goes, yeah, right.
Right.
I go, yeah, why don't? He goes, you don't have his phone number. I go, what if I do? So there were 8 kids there, and I got them all together, and we took a real goofy selfie. He goes, okay, everybody make C and J with their fingers, and we did, and we took the picture, and he looked at my phone. He goes, oh, my God, you've got a cell phone. I go, Dennis, don't underestimate me, sweetie pie. So I text CJ the picture, right? And I said, so Dennis, what do you think? Is he going to respond before our session's over today? He goes, no way. He goes, I'll give you $10 if you do. I said, Dennis, I don't think you have $10, so I'd watch your mouth. Well, within 2 minutes, DJ Spiller responded to the text message. These kids went crazy. And so I said to them, you've got to think bigger, people. I said, why do you think CJ Spiller and I are friends? And they said, I don't know, maybe you were nice to him. I said, maybe I was. Maybe I gave him some golf lessons before he left Buffalo and we got to be buddies because he's a nice person. and I'm a nice person, and we trust each other. And they were like, yeah, maybe so. So you just, you got to think bigger.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And this, as I said, brings it in nicely into our discussion this morning, which is, of course, part 2 of your Own Your Game Lite series, if you will. And it's really seeking professional help. And that's not necessarily mean that you're going to lie down on the old couch and let the shrink dive in, but this talks about really seeking out whether it be a mentor or a coach or some sort of guidance, again, being from a teaching standpoint, maybe it's a teacher professional. And we all need help. Even in golf, we need help with our game. And, the first point we're going to talk about is really seeking out that help. And a lot of times that person can also give you some great guidance in other areas as well as you learn the process. And really what you just talked about was a great example about your own journey. You sought the challenge to pursue something that you wanted, and there were key people along the way that helped you get those early stages on, and that's really what we're talking about here. So just maybe talk a little bit, Cindy, about the importance of why, if you want to become a better golfer, why it's important to reach out and seek that professional help.
Well, because you really can't do anything on your own. And depending on your experiences, like what I teach the kids, your experiences develop beliefs, and beliefs develop attitudes, and attitudes develop actions. So if you have some really bad experiences and you are hanging out with someone who is miserable, you need to be very aware that hurting people hurt people. So if you've got a naysayer in your life that says, you're not good enough to do that, and that's not possible, you can choose to accept that one of two ways. I will show you that I am good enough and going to be good enough. It can motivate you, or it can deter you.
Yes.
And so I would hope that you get motivated by that and almost obstinate and say, well, watch this, pal. But again, if that's not your behavior style and your personality, you might be totally dejected and depressed and think that you can't achieve things. So when you seek help, you need to find someone who believes in you, who's going to show you some tough love and not give you everything you want and entitle you. But you've got to have someone that's going to hold your hand and help you reach what you want to achieve. So I would interview people, and it doesn't matter if it's, your success coach, if you will, or your golf coach. You have to be very, 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 you've got to inspect the source. Where has this person been? What do they believe in? How do they plan to help you achieve your goals? What's their process? And you've got to find that out before you surrender and choose, that person to help you. So I would be very, very aware.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And you touched on a really great point. That person is not there just to teach you necessarily the skills that you need to acquire to be a better player, but they've got to be somebody that's willing to be honest with you and tell you the truth and point out areas that maybe you need improvement and be realistic about it. But they've also got to be somewhat of a cheerleader as well. I mean, there's nothing worse than being, as you said, being around somebody that's sort of, as you put it before, a Debbie Downer all the time, and not being able to have somebody there to, again, they certainly need to be honest and truthful with you, but at the same time, they can be encouraging and uplifting. And you'll find that even those that maybe don't have a lot of drive and initiative to begin with can turn that around somewhat if they've got the right person behind them, sort of egging them along and giving them reassurances along the way. And that's why you're exactly right. It's very important to really interview the person that you're going to be working with or that you're going to be associated with, because if you pick the wrong person and you've got somebody that's really not got your best interests and at heart, and they're just sort of treating you like a number, then it's not going to be a pleasurable experience, and you're not likely going to want to continue the process. And I think that's unfortunately, and that's really no fault to the coach. I think it's just something that they need to be mindful of. But more importantly, the consumers need to be mindful of that as well when they're making those selections. Is make sure that you've got somebody that's uplifting and that's going to be knowledgeable in the areas that you're seeking. So that's the first part. And Cindy, really the second part to seeking out professional help, and this is one I want to kind of set up a little bit differently, is we're going to talk about a little bit about the swing and obviously acquiring the appropriate skills to become a better player. But there's also a danger in this as well, I think, and we'll touch on this in just a moment, is I think that, in my opinion, the number one problem that most golfers have, and I'm talking, of course, amateurs and high handicap golfers, we want to become better players, and we need to learn how to play this game. I think the majority of golfers out there focus entirely on acquiring the appropriate skills, which is certainly necessary, but that's where they put all their emphasis. They want to be the best ball striker ever. They want to be a much better ball striker, and they don't focus on actually playing the game. So they become a better ball striker, but they still don't know how to play the game. Let's talk a little bit about what some of the skills are that they need to acquire, obviously, and then also that they need to be mindful that that's not the only part of the game that they need to look at. Go ahead.
They need to know how to focus. Can you really focus on that task at hand? They need to have abstract thinking, and what's that mean? They have to be able to take into account changes. So the 8 traits of great champions is what I'm referring to, because the 8 traits of great champions is a golf psych, their system, and they did research on the LPGA and the PGA Tour to find out what are the different traits that multiple tour winners have, and are they different than tour players who are on the tour who have never won or only won once or twice. And they found that there were 8 unbelievable traits that, yes, above and beyond they had to have. Self-sufficiency is another one. Can you make a decision by yourself, or do you have to have your caddy or your mom or your dad there all the time? Dominance. Do you know when to take a risk, when not to take a risk? Tension control. Do you have tension control? Can you, focus on the task at hand? All those things are very, very, very important, along with being able to hit the shot. So that's what we tell our kids that we teach. We need to teach you how to hit the ball, so when we go to play or we do boot camp or we're playing in tournaments, we say, now how can you play this hole? Let's hit, a 5-wood off the tee over to the left, and you always shank your 5-wood. Well, we're not going to get anywhere if you can't hit the ball. So skill acquisition is number one. You have to be able to hit the ball, and then you have to know where to hit the ball and how to hit the ball and how to score. Right,
exactly. And that's what I'm getting at is, obviously you have to learn and acquire the necessary skills, otherwise it defeats the purpose. But you also have to be mindful that if you become obsessed with acquiring those skills to the point where you're just constant. I mean, we've seen it, Cindy. You know what I'm talking about. You get up in the range and somebody's spending hours just hitting ball after ball after ball, and they're really not doing anything to become a better player. They're just focused on hitting better shots. And yes, you need to be able to hit good shots, but if you don't know how to put it all together when you get out on the golf course, this is why I think too, Cindy, it's important that we get our students out on the golf course as quickly as possible. Certainly we want to make sure that they have some general skill beforehand, but at the same time, we want to get them out on the golf course to face real-life situations, not just, becoming, the range guy or tin cup, as they, a lot of times they call them, because that's where I think a lot of people run into the problem is they spend more time on the range than they do on the golf course, and then when they get out on the golf course, everything falls apart because they don't know how to handle themselves. And that's obviously where we're going to get in more in depth next week when we talk about the mind control and mental preparation. We'll get in a little bit more how to get yourself psyched up and mentally prepared to be able to do that. But that's an area too, I think, Cindy, that a lot of people fall short is they're focusing too much on trying to be better ball strikers and not really about scoring and how to actually play the game, and ultimately don't have fun. And that's something that I think people need to really understand. I think it's a matter of being prioritized in how they handle themselves. And this is where getting this professional help can really pay off. Do you agree?
Yeah, and you know what else? Again, because I teach so many kids, and we're talking about getting good help, we did some filming last week for my foundation, and and I asked a bunch of the junior kids to come in, and one dad was there, and he's been texting us videos of his daughter practicing in their garage, and she hasn't had a private lesson in 2 months or a group lesson at all. And she really wants to be on the varsity golf team next year. She's only in 6th grade, and she's trying to be on the varsity golf team in 7th grade. And so the girl has gotten in such bad habits of dipping her head about a foot. And again, the poor girl doesn't know that she's doing something that's really going to hurt her. So the dad sends me an email and says, we're going to start the Own Your Game Academy in January. I'm trying to sign up for all the group lessons. Nothing's booked. And I said, well, it's November 6th. I hope you're not waiting until January to bring, I'm not going to say her name, in, because we need to really fix this head issue now. So, again, you have to be honest with people because they think they can do it themselves, and then these poor kids are at the mercy of their parents who need to be fired. And so it just really, really, really bothers me. It really bothers me. So I think I got to him, and so she's coming in tomorrow. And it's like, well, it's $20 for a clinic. It's not the price, So it's just like, holy cow. But again, if you're the person that's trying to get better and you're listening to this show and you can't seem to make improvement, you got to find somebody else that's willing to help you and interview them. Yeah. And then, hopefully, you can get better and reach your goals. It just I'm so passionate about it, it drives me nuts. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I couldn't agree more. One of the worst things, Cindy, and I'm sure you've had plenty of experience here as well, is you've done all this hard work to help these students, and in a matter of moments, the parents can unwind everything that you've taught them and everything you've done with just really a few words. And a lot of times the parents need to step back and literally, it's happened. It's amazing, you get a kid that's passionate and excited about something, and maybe because they're not living up to the parents' expectations, a lot of times they can derail. And we've all seen it. We've seen kids that, are fired up and excited about something. And I'm not saying the parents do it intentionally. Sometimes they don't even realize it. But they can literally derail that child's development, even out on the golf course, by really not choosing the right words. And, now suddenly the kid has lost that momentum and that desire and that enthusiasm, and suddenly they can't understand why their child doesn't want to, go to the golf course anymore. So, this is why it's important sometimes to, for the parents to be on the sidelines and certainly encourage and develop, but and uplift rather, but not, get in there too much and let the coach do their job. And that's what that's what they're paying you for, Cindy. And they need to make sure that that's going through. All right, Cindy, let's bring on our very special guest this morning. Let me just do a very quick introduction, and we'll bring him on. Our very special guest, as I mentioned earlier, is Thom Hord. He's the GM and Senior Operations Manager at Orange County National Golf Club in Orlando, Florida. He's 53 years old and originally from Indiana, married with 3 children, ranging from 25 right down to 13. And as I understand, I guess this 13-year-old has won 60 times, Cindy, on many of the junior tours throughout the United States. And he's going to talk about also a new mini tour that's been developed as well. And also at Orange County, of course, every other year they host a level of the Q School, and we'll talk about that. And there's actually 100,000 rounds per year played at OCN. So we're going to talk about that, some very exciting stuff. So let's welcome our very special guest this morning, Cindy, Thom Hord.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Miss Cindy?
We're doing great here. We're so glad you came on. Thanks for joining us.
Sure. I'm glad to be here, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to talk about the things that you expressed there, Ted. Good to see you here, listen to you as well.
Thank you very much, Thom, and welcome to the show. Let's talk, first and foremost, before we get into that, very quickly, something I always like to ask people, and that is, what sort of drew you to golf? What was your sort of journey, if you will, that brought you to this great industry? What was your beginnings?
Well, I got started late in life in golf. I did many other things before I got involved in the golf, and certainly in the golf business side of things. But just being somewhat as an athlete, kind of young, and looking for things to do as I got older, you just kind of gravitate towards golf and the competitiveness of it, and really the challenge of trying to be good. As I was listening earlier to you all talk about the challenges of teaching young players. Just the challenge of that in itself, of trying to be good and always going out and trying to better your last round or even your last hole. And so that kind of made me come to the game of golf toward more than anything. And then getting okay, never really good, getting okay, and then just the love and the passion of playing each day and going out with 4.5 hours with some of your best buddies and just enjoying the time together. That's really what drew me to it.
Yeah, and I think that's really what draws all of us. That well said. Cindy, you go ahead. I'll let you start off, and then we'll continue on.
So tell us about your son. I had no idea that you had a son that was a great player. How old is he? What's his name?
Sure.
What does he want to do when he grows up?
Yeah, he started. He's 13 years old. He just turned 13 back in May. We started up in Indiana with him playing, and just as you guys were saying there, let him get out and hit the clubs, and just smack the ball around a little bit, and not really overshadow or trying to jump on him a lot and try and teach him a lot of things. He would go to the range with me of an evening, and he would watch me hit balls, and he got to the point where he wanted to hit. And I'll tell you what I did. It was fairly simple, right, wrong, or indifferent. I got his legs, his feet right, threw some tape down on the ground, and I said, I don't want your feet any further wide than where they located your shoulders now. He had his clubs. I put a little piece of tape on the end of them. I said, I don't want your hands above that, and just let him hit the ball, right? And so he just kept hitting and hitting. And I will tell you, at an early age, you could see that he could hit the ball fairly well, and that wow. He's a great learner from watching. And so he would even at 7, 8, and 9, he was able to duplicate some of the guys on TV in their swing. And so he would watch those guys, go out and mimic it, and try the best he could to hit the ball that way, and it really worked out for him. And I knew at his young age, it was time for me to step away, probably 9 or 10 years old, and let somebody else teach him. And so get on that sideline, as you guys were saying, and let somebody else teach him and take him to the level he's at now. And he has really blossomed up in Indiana. He played really well up there, won a lot of tournaments, traveled across the Midwest to the eastern side of the United States and down into Florida, and have been blessed to win over 60 times, across the country here. So it's been really good. As all young players, they aspire to be professional on tour someday, and but he also is grounded enough to where he'll tell me, he says, if I don't make it on tour, my profession's going to be in golf, whether I'm teaching on the range or whether I'm in the office or whatever I'm doing. His love for the game is there already, and he knows this is what he wants to do for the rest of his life.
Wow, that's so cool. What's his name?
His name's Sam Hord, Hord.
Wow, that is
very
so
good.
Awesome. So who's
now he's obviously
now?
still.
Yeah, so right now he's with Tony Ziegler here out of Orlando. Tony is the son of former PGA Tour player Larry Ziegler, and so
oh, you're kidding?
No, so he's with Tony, and and Larry actually has come alongside to teach him short game. So Larry really works with him on short game quite a bit. And then Tony Ziegler works with him on his swing. And then the guys that are here on property here, Orange County National with Sick Golf, those guys help him with his putting.
Awesome. Now, did you interview, so we're going to interview you about how you found the coach for Sam. Did you interview teachers? How did you pick? Because you're in a place where there's teachers everywhere.
Yes. And I will tell you, that has been the hardest thing for me, that and finding the proper club fitting for juniors. Those two are the hardest two things that I think when it comes to junior golfers. And I'm not sure if it's not 1A and 1B because for me they're very, very difficult. But on the coach's side of things, when we got down here, we just ask around, right? And who's this? Who's doing that? What's their reputation? How are things going? And how are they with young people? And so we did bounce around one time. We found a guy that we thought was the right fit. After about a few months into it, we realized that it wasn't the right fit, and then we went out again searching, asking some of these other juniors who are successful in the area, other teachers and things as well too. Ironically, it's hard to ask another teacher who is the best for my son, right? But Tony's name, Tony's name kept coming up, and so Tony's got several PGA and several LPGA ladies in his camp, and that we were able to get in with him, and has been a blessing ever since that we've been there. Tony's just unbelievable with the young students. I think he told me that Sam is his youngest students, but he's just so well versed and so calm and always very positive, and that just does a great job with Tony, and that's why we love being with him.
That's awesome. And where does he teach?
He teaches out of the old Faldo Institute over at the Marriott, Grand Vista.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Very cool.
Larry played on the tour with Alan a million years ago.
Oh, Larry did. Yes, that's right. Thom, let me ask you just to sort of follow up on that. You know, you said obviously it was important to find the right match for Sam. What specifically that you know of, obviously you've had opportunities to watch and that, what is it that you think sort of helps the chemistry between Sam and Tony? What have you noticed that you like the way he handles Sam's game that impressed you the most?
Sure. I think for the most important part of it is to make it fun, right? Even though you're practicing, you still need to make it fun, and I think Tony does that. You know, John Wooden, the great basketball coach, one time said that to be great, you must fall in love with the process of becoming great, which is working and practicing, right? And I really think that Tony has the ability to get at least Sam and his other students to feel that way, to fall in love with the process of becoming great. And so it's not just going out there and pounding balls and hitting to a target. You know, it's trying to shape shots. It's trying to hit different clubs different ways. It's trying to hit a 6-iron maybe the same way you would hit a 9-iron, with the same height or with the same, trajectory, whatever you think about. I mean, just the games and stuff of which they practice, but they really still get into the nuts and bolts of the swing and the mechanics of everything that goes along with it. And he does it with such a great upbeat attitude. It just makes it so much easier for Sam to listen, to stay engaged, and to be a part of what's really happening.
Well said. And I think the other part too, Thom, and I'm sure you might agree, is that he also has to remember. You mentioned that Sam is his youngest student. That Sam's only 13 years old. That he's still a kid, and he's still, got the mentality of a child. So sometimes I think coaches, unfortunately, can push too hard at an early age, and that can work as a negative for the child. So that's obviously something important, I think, that you probably look for as well, to make sure that they recognize that, Sam might need a little nudging here and there, but at the same time, he is only 13 years old, correct?
That's so important. And I got to tell you, more than the coach, and I'll be vulnerable myself, more than the coach, it's me that really needs to remember that Sam's 13 as the parent. And that there are times to where I think, well, maybe he's not spending enough time on the range, and maybe he's not spending enough time doing this, but then I got to step back and say he's 13, and that he has other life happenings going on. Right now he's playing basketball for the school team, and so golf is still in the forefront, but his commitment to the school and the basketball program, I have to step back and always say he's 13 and let him play those other sports. And now, yes, there's data that shows we'd want the kids to play as many sports as possibly can. That just rounds out their whole life as well as their golf game and things like that. But I think for me, going back to the original question, it's more important for the parent to be able to realize that. I see it too many times on the
Yes.
junior circuit that parents are just pushing their kids to tears out on the golf course and don't want to play, but they're there because their mom or dad is making them play. They're putting out. Listen, golf is not a cheap sport to play, and so parents then they have an investment in it that realize that you're going to play because we've paid this. Well, you're in my opinion, you're damaging your kid.
Yeah, you are.
No,
I
couldn't
agree.
I couldn't agree. Yeah, exactly. We mentioned that obviously OCN hosts Q School. Tell us a little bit about that, and is there any special preparations that are needed to be made in order to prepare for that time?
Yeah, well, Q School is an exciting time around here each year towards the end of the year, and this year it's out west. Next year we hope to have it back here. We haven't got anything signed as of yet, but we hope to have it back here for the 2019 season. But the preparation we do is just that we just do a lot of our early maintenance earlier, right? And just make sure everything's ready for the guys when they come in towards the end of the year. Last year the golf course was as green as you could. I mean, it looked like the Irish Hills of Ireland. I mean, it was just unbelievable how pretty it was, and you know the greens are just in immaculate shape and rolling. 11.5 or a 12, maybe even a little bit quicker at some point. During the time that they're here, but it's just a great opportunity for us here at Orange County National to host that every other year, and the prestige it brings with it. I mean, when guys come down on trips or come into town and want to do some things, they want to play where the pros play. And so that's just a great feather in our cap to be able to do that this year. And really the shout out goes to our maintenance staff and Jason Morris, who takes care of that stuff for us. But there's a lot of preparation for it, but it's well worth it.
Very interesting. Cindy, go ahead.
So when did you move down from Indiana? How long have you been in Orlando?
Well, permanently we've been down here. It'll be actually 2 years in about 2 days, I'll be honest with you. So just about 2 years ago we moved down here permanently, and that decided to come down for Sam's sake. We wanted to be able to give him every opportunity to be able to play golf. So up in Indiana, obviously you get to play golf maybe 7 months out of the year, 8 months out of the year at most. Good quality golf with the weather being what it needs to be. And although Sam would, in the wintertime, we build a hitting bay in the garage and he'd hit balls all the time there and do things there. It just wasn't the type of atmosphere or weather that we wanted to see where it would take us. And if it doesn't take us anywhere than where we're at today, we're all right with that too. But we wanted to give him every opportunity to come down and get with quality players, get with quality teachers, and that see, he wants to play college golf, and that if this is what it does for him, that's great.
That's
Fantastic.
awesome. Now, were you in the golf business in Indiana?
I was not. I was actually a pastor for the last 12 years before we moved down here, and that I'd always been a part of coming down to Orange County National on some golf trips with the church and that sort of thing, and fell in love with the place. Came down and wanted to do a little bit of work, basically retired, wanted to come down and do a little bit of work, and got on here in the golf shop a couple years ago, and I just worked my way up to the position I'm blessed to have now as the GM. So it's just been a great opportunity.
Well, I can verify that because, I'm not surprised that you're a pastor because I know your character, and
Thank you.
so grateful that they decided to uplift you and make you the general manager because you've done a great job for us. Alan and I have been doing boot camps at Orange County for I don't know how many years, and the changes that you've made have been so nice, and we're so grateful that you've fixed up the rooms, that you welcome us and our students, and we bring a junior boot camp down, and we've got 3 adult boot camps booked for next year, and just so we're very grateful. So thank you.
Thank you for the kind words, Cindy. We always love having you down here. Thank you.
Now, also in addition to the Q School being hosted at OCN, you also have Demo Day during the PGA merchandising shows every January. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's what we understand to be the largest one-day golf show event in the world, right? And so on January 23rd this year, we'll welcome somewhere in the neighborhood of 12,000 guests here, PGA professionals here to Orange County National, and that we have the second largest range in the world. 45 acres is just the range itself. And that
Wow.
So every manufacturer, from clubs to golf carts to clothing to just anything, golf boards, will be out and circling the range. And on that Tuesday, all PGA professionals and some others will be able to come in and hit clubs, hit the new irons, hit the new woods, hit the new balls, hit everything they want to do, try out the equipment and such. And so it's another great feather in the cap of Orange County National to be able to host that every year, and just what it brings to the table for us. It's just an unbelievable effort to pull that off, but it's so much well worth it.
Fantastic. Now, you mentioned golf boards. You also now have golf boards. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so golf boards has been kind of the, new wave. It has been, at least for us. We purchased 6 new golf boards earlier this year, and what we're finding is that with the golf boards, if you're out and about and it's not on a busy day, you could really cut off 45 minutes of time playing golf really easy. And the way that happens is that everybody has their own golf board, so everybody's driving to their own shot each time, instead of me taking Cindy to my ball, then me going to Cindy's ball, then going back and forth, But so everybody's just kind of going out and traveling to their own golf ball. It makes it a little bit more fun, makes it exciting. It kind of what it does, it brings back a little bit of excitement to the average player coming in, instead of riding and sitting on a cart all day for 4 hours or longer. You get a little something. You're kind of surfing the golf course, is what we like to say. And these golf boards are amazing. They go up and down hills. We don't encourage it, but you can drive them in the bunker, and they're built as such to where that you can take them right up to the edge of the green. You could even drive on the green and not damage them. But again, we're not encouraging that as well either. But it's just something that adds a little bit more fun to the game of golf for the average player.
Yeah, you need to add that disclaimer in there, Thom. You don't want people driving on the greens or into the bunker.
Yeah, they enjoy it, though.
I've never used one yet, but I've seen them many times and seen the videos on them, and they look like a lot of fun. So again, just something different to add into the industry. Also mentioned very quickly about a new mini tour. Tell us about that.
Yeah, this is something we're extremely excited about. We started the Florida Elite Golf Tour, and it is something that's really taken off. And we started it, our owners of the golf course, the Davis family, and then the owners of the tour, which is Jack Davis and Paul Fleming, really came to me and said, "Hey, we want to start a tour. Let's see if we can get this thing going." So my vision is always to shoot for the stars on everything that we try and do, and that you can't fail if you try to do that. So we try and create on any of our tour events a PGA Tour atmosphere from the time that the guys hit the property to the time they're done. And so it has just been a great, successful event. What's been really good for us is that we're able to ensure or guarantee a large sum of money for winning. So right now, everybody, first place is guaranteed $5,000, no matter how big the field is. And so then we break it down. We pay 33% of the field, much like all the other mini tours. But it's that guarantee of $5,000 that's drawing the elite players to come in and play. And then, from the range standpoint, where they're going out on the range like a PGA event, it's all set up for them. It looks beautiful to the time they get to the tee box, and announcing them to the time they make their scorecards. Excuse me. After the round, there's food for them, like at any PGA Tour event, and then they come back the next day and do it all over again. So really, it's been very successful. The reason we're able to be as successful as we are in the beginning is because we're using all of our properties to host all these events. We've got Orange County National, we've got Golden Bear Club at Kings Point, we've got Tuscaloosa Country Club, we've got Legends, we've got Stony Brook West. We got Celebration Golf Club, all within this Orlando area, 15 minutes here of Orange County National. And all of those are great properties, and those guys want to play great properties. And so, it's just an exciting time. We're getting more and more guys signing up for our fields. High-name profile guys. Mark Blakefield won our first event, which has played some web.com, played on the Canadian Tour. Ty Tryon, you all know Ty. He finished second in our last event last week.
Yep.
Is excited about playing more events. Tim Crouch, who is a two-time National Player of the Year in Division II golf, he won last week in our events. We've got Brian Davis, who plays on the PGA Tour. He's signed up for our next two events. Will Wilcox is going to play in an event we've got coming up as well too. So we're looking at really taking this tour head and shoulders above all the other mini tours. And I can't announce it yet, but we've got some really big announcement coming that will help this tour take it really to the next level. And when I get the word to be able to do that, it really will take it to the next level like we're looking for. The other exciting thing about that tour is that now we are offering the same exact thing for our ladies. $5,000 guaranteed first place prize, doesn't matter how big the field is. And because we want to, Orlando is really the winter home to most LPGA players or ladies aspiring to be on that level. And so we really are looking forward to that event. Our first event for the ladies is in December, and we're really looking forward for that event to really take off and these ladies come in here and start playing. They're finishing up, I believe, their portion of the Q School now and doing some things. So that's why we're holding off till December for them. But it really is a great opportunity for these ladies to come in, make some money, and play against good quality competition before they go back out on tour next spring.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's fantastic, Thom. That they've put this together, and obviously you're just from your response that you've drawn a lot of high caliber players as well, which is only going to further fuel it to success. Thom, for those that maybe aren't familiar and maybe haven't been to Orange County National, maybe you could share a little bit about that, about the facility itself, and how they can reach out to you if they want to learn more about it.
Yeah, so, Orange County National is 36 holes of championship golf course, plus we have a 9-hole executive course. It's got 2 par 4s on it, which Cindy uses a lot when she brings her groups down here. And it's such a great short course place to prepare for your short game on that course as well. I mean, it's kept as immaculate condition as are both of our other golf courses. Crooked Cat is a golf course that really is more of a link-style golf course, a little bit more wide open. You're not going to find any water on it. You're going to find a little bit wider fairways. Just a beautiful golf course all the way around. Then you get over to the Panther Lake side of things. It's a little bit tighter. It's a little bit more traditional, as you would see maybe up north a little bit as far as the tree lines. There's more water on that golf course. People tend to navigate towards Panther Lake a little bit more, but when they get to play both sides, they say both of them are great golf courses. A lot of guys come down and stay the whole week in our lodge. We do have a 46-room lodge here that was just renovated. It's not a resort. I just want to throw that out. It's not a resort. It's just a lodge where people come and sleep and play golf and grab something to eat and do it again the next day. And so, but it's a great place to come and bring a group. We've got a great sales team here that will help any of your groups get your right pricing for you. But it's just really looking out the back of the restaurant on a daily basis is just something that you just are blessed to be able to see every day because the beauty of which the golf course looks every single day. So if somebody's looking to be a part, come down to Orange County National, the phone number is 407-656-2626. Again, 407-656-2626. And we'll be glad to set you up, get you in a room. If you're just coming for golf, get you your tee times. But I don't think you will ever be disappointed by coming to Orange County National.
That's for sure.
Well, it certainly sounds.
That's for sure.
Cindy, go ahead. I know you've got some final thoughts.
You know what? I think you should have a senior division for your women's thing in the spring because in July we're going to have the first ever women's senior U.S. Open, and there's a lot of old people that come to Orlando, and we need to tune up our games for this first ever women's U.S. Senior Open.
Well, Cindy, that's something that I will tell you has been. We're already looking into the future on where we want to expand to, and the senior division is an area that we're going to look into in expanding to. But what I would like to do, if at another time you and I can sit down and talk, maybe we can put something together just for that the Senior U.S. Women's Open, and do something just for that event as a one-off. And that I'd be glad to talk to you about that. Maybe we can get some ladies in here to prepare for their game for that U.S. Open.
That would be great. That would be great.
There you go, Cindy. Your prayers are answered, as they say. Well, Thom, listen, thank you very much for joining us this morning on the Women of Golf Show. It's been a pleasure, and much continued success to Sam. And we hope he continues on his journey and has a great 2018. But thank you very much for joining Cindy and I this morning.
I appreciate you all. Have a blessed day. We'll talk to you soon now. Thank you.
Thanks, Thom.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. That was our very special guest, Thom Hord. Boy, what a great story. Really, very unusual to have somebody that really didn't sort of grow up in golf, but came to it later in life, and obviously has a lot of passion and desire about the game, and has found his niche, if you will, in the golf industry that he is able to serve in, and is able to enjoy, his young son Sam just take off and just have a lot of fun as well, and have some success very early on. So we wish both of them much continued success. And Cindy, we'll be back next week with part 3 of the Own Your Game Lite series, if you will. And as I said, we're going to be talking about the mental side of things, the mind control and mental preparation in part 3 as we wrap that up. And we'll also have another great guest. But on behalf of Cindy Miller and I, we want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for joining in faithfully each and every week here on the Women of Golf Show. And just remember, we are here every Tuesday mornings from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern here on the blogtalkradio.com network. So make sure you check us out. And on that note, God bless everybody. Have a great week. And we'll see you next week right here on the Women of Golf. Thanks, Cindy.
Thanks, Ted. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.